Hi guys, it's Miss Moss. Welcome back. I hope you all had an awesome and relaxing spring break. I know it's just so weird, isn't it? It's like, is it break? Are we on vacation? What day is it? I totally understand. But, anyways, I'm glad, even though this is just through video, that we have this time together. You're all in my hearts, and I miss you so much. So let's get back to work. We've got some more Excel to get done and covered. It's not the easiest, so I'm going to walk you guys through the next 2 or 3 lessons step by step. If you kind of are annoyed listening to me or watching this video, you know how to go into Teams and do the work yourself. Okay, you can go to the website and follow along with the challenge instructions for the different modules. But I thought that I would give you this chance too if you wanted to just work with me. It'll kind of feel more like we're in real school. And I know you all miss it so much. So, anyways, let's get started. Today we're going to talk about using formulas and functions in Microsoft Excel. Okay, a few reasons why you might use formulas and functions. To begin, it's just how you can use Microsoft Excel to do math for you. Okay, and a lot of the examples in the modules that we're going to work on focus on using like an invoice system. So if you worked for a company and you were in charge of ordering things for that company, a restaurant, a retail store, whatever, a lot of times you have to kind of break down how you're going, what items you're going to order, what the unit price is for each of these things, and so on, to keep your budget in line and just to keep track of your finances. This is also important when you're budgeting. Maybe someday you'll work in finance or accounting, or even just as an adult, keeping track of your own finances. You'll use this in budgeting as well. Okay, so a couple things. It's been a while since we've talked about some of the terminology for Excel. I want to just review some of that with you first, okay? So here we are, Microsoft Excel formulas and functions. Just a quick review. Okay, so what is again the difference between a formula and a function? Okay, so a formula, if you'll remember way back when you guys took notes in our first e-learning assignment, a formula is a custom calculation that is typed out into a cell by the app user. Okay, so a formula is something that you kind of have to put your math brain on and really think like, what am I trying to figure out here? And you type that out in a cell. Okay, that's a formula. A function it's gonna do the same thing. Okay, it will do the math for you, but a function is like a predefined or canned formula that's already been established by the app. Excel has a bunch of things, math types of formulas that it knows people commonly use when you're budgeting or doing accounting work or invoicing. And they have those in there so you don't have to go through and think as hard about like what is the actual calculation or standard operation I need to do this type of work. But you still would have to, click on that. Okay, so formula, you're going to think a little bit harder to come up with it. A function is created on its own. So guys, I'm not sure if in this video you're seeing the notifications that there's motion at my house, but anyway, you don't mind. Another review, cell reference, also known as the cell address. So the cell reference again is the name of a cell, which is just a single box on a spreadsheet. It's the name of a cell which is determined by naming the intersection of its column and row. Okay, when we're going through and doing math on a big spreadsheet that has all of these hundreds of little boxes on it, these cells, you need to know how to define the cell reference because that's so obviously important. Okay, here's just a little graphic to show you this, a cell reference. Okay, when a cell is active, meaning you've clicked on it and it has this border framed, when it's active and clicked on the column and row, here's your column. Remember, columns are vertical. And your row, the horizontal, it's always highlighted. You can see that there's like a little bit of a green line next to it. It's shaded just slightly to highlight, what the actual cell reference is. And then up here in this corner, of an Excel worksheet, you'll see that there is the cell address window, okay? And that's just going to show you the exact intersection of the column and row for that active cell. So if you're ever not sure, what cell reference you're working in, and you're trying to like use your fingers to go down the column and across the row, you could always just peek right up here and it's already labeled for you. Okay, I had mentioned earlier about using standard math operations to write your formulas. So you're trying to get this spreadsheet to do math for you. Well, guess what? It's not that hard. I mean, you're just going to be using the standard operations of math that you already understand. Okay, to create formulas, you'll use these standard math operations. And over here on this graphic, it's showing you the different keyboard symbols that you'll use to identify those different standard operations. Okay, the first two, pretty easy, right? A plus sign and a minus sign for adding and subtracting. When you are looking to multiply, you're going to use an asterisk. For division, you'll use the /. And for exponents, which I actually don't think we'll even use in any of our modules, but some, accounting software and whatnot, you would be using that. So an exponent is this up caret. Okay, so no worries about that. But definitely keep in mind for multiplying, you'll use the asterisk, and for dividing that /. Okay, one other thing I want you to notice is in front of each of these little equations, there's an equal sign. Something that's kind of interesting here, when you're working in an Excel spreadsheet and you want to write a formula, maybe it's like 5 + 5. Normally, the way that our math works in our head, and when we're writing things down, we would write 5 + 5 =. But the computer is different. Look at this slide here. The first ingredient in building a formula, you'll always start with an equal sign. The equal sign goes in front of the equation or in front of the formula. And what that is, okay, so I wrote it down here. Excel is a very smart application. I mean, it's going to be like a calculator for you. And there are all kinds of other really cool features. It's very smart, but it can only perform work that you program. You're a computer programmer, guys, working in Microsoft Excel. So you will tell the computer, by putting an equal sign, I'm about to do some math. Get ready, Excel. Okay, so always begin with the equal sign and then enter your formula. Okay, so we're back. Let's do the module together, okay? First thing I want you to do is to download the document and the assignment in Teams. So remember how to do that. I want you to click on the 3 dots next to it, download or open in Excel. Download usually is the best option. You guys remember when we were back in school, we had to do this. Download that practice document and open it on your screen. Make that Excel be like half of your screen, and then have this video running on the other half of the screen. So then I'll work with you and we can do this assignment together, okay? So go ahead right now, pause this video, and open up, download that Excel document, and get your screen all set up so we can move on together through the actual work. Okay, I hope you push play and it's time to work. You have the Excel practice document on one side of your screen and this video on the other. Let's take a look at what we're going to do on that document. Okay, Miss Moss's screen is looking funky. I don't know what you see, but hopefully it's something like this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do on this Excel doc, make sure that you're down at the bottom tab that's called Sheet 1, because I'm going to walk you guys through just some practice before we go into the challenge. Okay, this is something that some people were screwing up on the first assignments posted before spring break. In the challenge assignment on the websites, like the list of instructions to make changes, it tells you in step 2 to come down and click on this challenge tab so that you're doing the work on the right page. Hopefully you get it this time because we're working on it together. Okay, so let's take a look first at what we're working on here. What it appears to be is an order form or an invoice form for some plastic silverware, napkins, plates, plastic cups. Okay, so let's pretend that we work for a food truck. Okay, we own a food truck and we go out and we like sell our tacos and all this fun stuff. Okay, and we had to place an order for these different supplies so that we have this stuff on our truck. Okay, now that we know what we're doing, let's complete a couple steps here using formulas on this spreadsheet. Again, we're on sheet 1. The first thing I want to look at is down here in the corner where it says June and July budget. Okay, right here. So we have budgeted for our business that we will spend $1,200 in June and $1,500 in July. I want to just get a budget total for those 2 months in this cell. Okay, the first thing I want you guys to do is to click on cell D12. You'll know it's active because it has the frame around it. To find a total, I know I'm going to be using the standard operation of addition. Okay, what did I just mention when I was showing you that last slide in the introduction to this assignment? We always have to tell the computer, I'm about to do math. Otherwise, it doesn't get it. It's not that smart, can't read our minds. Okay, so to tell the computer I'm about to do math, I'm going to, on my keyboard, type in an equal sign. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to do an opening parenthesis because I'm going to now enter my math equation. And instead of, there are some different ways to do this, but the first way I'm going to do it is just really bare bones basic stuff. I'm going to type in the cell references for the 2 cells I want to add. Okay, so the first cell I wanted to add was this $1,200. So I'm going to type in D10 because this cell with 1,200 is cell D10. Now I'm going to do a plus sign by holding Shift and clicking the plus. And then the second cell I wanted to add was directly below D11. Once I type in D11, let's close my parentheses. So the formula for finding the total of these 2 monthly budgets is equals, open parentheses, D10 plus D11, close parentheses. Watch what happens when you click Enter or Return on your keyboard. Poof! It just did the math like a calculator. It's amazing! Love this stuff. Okay, but now here's something else I want you to know. Like maybe you're thinking, Moss, like why would I have to type in D10 plus D11? Why can't I just do the math in my head and type in the number? Yeah, it's not like rocket science, this math. But here's the reason why we would use cell references in a formula. If these budgets were to change in any way, and those numbers may be automated and connected to some other system in place that my company has, if those numbers change and I don't use cell references to create a formula, it will not update my total automatically. I want to be able to make changes to these 2 numbers and have my total in turn be updated and accurate. Just to practice, in this $1,200 cell, so cell D10, if I were to change that to $1,500 and hit Enter or Return, notice that it automatically changed my total to $3,000 to show the most accurate and updated information. If I had just initially just typed in a number here, knowing the total in my head because it wasn't hard math, I'd have to update it again. Okay, so you want to use formulas for this purpose. Okay, let's move up to the top section here of this spreadsheet. These are the different items that I've placed in order and the quantities of each and the price per unit, meaning for each box of 100 plastic silverware, I'm paying $8.75. However, I want to get 15 boxes at $8.75 each. How do I figure out that math? Okay, pretty easy, simple stuff. It's multiplication, right? So I want to know how many 15 times $8.75, how much would that total B for that line item here for my plastic silverware. Now, watch how we do this. First step, we got to tell the computer, I'm about to do some math. Put in an equal sign. Okay, next, let's do a parentheses. And there's a reason why we do parentheses. It's not absolutely necessary here, but you're going to find out why it's a good habit to get into on the next lesson. Okay, so I have a parentheses. This time, instead of typing in B4, I'm just going to click on that cell, B4. Oh, and look it put B4 there for me. I want to multiply. Do you remember what the symbol in standard operations is for multiplication on a computer? Asterisk. So hold your shift key and click 8 on your keyboard. Okay, so we have equals, parentheses, B4 times, and now I'm just going to click on C4. And when I clicked on it, it wrote C4 there for me. What I need to do, let's put that closed parenthesis. So what you're looking at here is a multiplication of your quantity and price per unit, and this is how it's set up when you write to yourself a formula. Hit enter or return on your keyboard. Poof, math is done like that. This is so awesome, guys. This next step is like mind blown kind of business. All right, I could go into this cell here, D5, and redo those steps to do multiplication and the same thing in the next 2 rows. But why would I do that when I can use my magic wand or the force? It's called a fill handle in Microsoft Excel, okay? If you highlight or activate cell D4, where you just put in that formula, and you see how it has this kind of framed border around it, and there's a little tiny square in the bottom right corner. You're going to put your cursor over that little square, and it changes your cursor into like a really tiny little plus sign or a cross. Click that and hold it down on your trackpad. Click and hold that little symbol and drag down the next 3 rows and let go. What? So pretty amazing stuff what this app is actually capable of. What's cool then about that fill handle, like if I were to change the quantities in any of these cells over here, it will it'll change those line totals automatically because I used a formula instead of just doing the math or on a separate device like a calculator and then entering the actual digits. So if I change this 9 in my plates in cell B6 to 10 and hit enter or return, it automatically updates my line totals. It's so cool, guys. Okay, let's get into the actual challenge assignment here for this document. So let's get off of this worksheet on our workbook and go down here to the tab that says challenge. Click on that one. Okay, and following the challenge instructions up here from the web page, we already did this. We clicked on the challenge tab. Fantastic. Next, we need to create a formula in cell D4 that multiplies the quantity in B4 times the price per unit in cell C4. So this is what we just did on the other document. Okay, this time instead of ordering like paper goods and supplies for our food truck, we're like placing an order for some actual food. Okay, so I'm going to click on cell D4, telling the computer, time for some math. What do? Equals sign. Click the equals, parentheses. Let's click on our quantity in B4. We're going to multiply, so do shift and 8 so you get the asterisk. Now click on cell D4. Nope, I'm sorry, that's C4, isn't it? C4. Close your parentheses. Do you have what I have on my screen? We should have equals, parentheses, B4 times C4, close parentheses. If you do, hit enter or return on your keyboard. Poof, it did the math. Something that maybe you noticed was down here in the cell D8, the total has changed. It was nothing, and now there's 5625 because currently that's what we just have here in this line. So I want to copy the formula that I put in cell D4 in cells D5, 6, and 7. I don't need to redo all that clicking and the equals and all that junk. I could use the magic wand, the force, the fill handle. So in cell D4, we make sure it's active. Click on that little fill handle in the bottom corner, hold it and drag down the next 3 rows, and look, it did the math. The multiplication for that quantity times price per unit has been completed for all of these different foods we ordered. And look, it also updated the total in cell D8. However, there's a problem. Maybe you didn't know when you were initially putting together this invoice that you were going to order those rice and black beans, and you added that later, and you had already put a formula here in this cell to get a total. Look at what we have up here in this little window up top. It tells us what the formula is in that cell. And it's showing D4 plus D5 plus D6. Well, guess what? This number, this total, is not including our rice and black beans that we added, cell D7. Let me show you a trick. If you have this cell down here with the total active, you can actually come up here to the top and add what you want to add to your formula up there instead of having to deal with it down in the small little cell on the worksheet. Okay, so up here where we have equals D4 plus D5 plus D6, let's also put plus D7. Now hit enter or return, and it updates your total to include that last line that we just added there. Super cool, guys. It's not that hard to do this kind of simple calculating in Excel, but it's still very useful and helpful. Like I said, sometimes companies will have like another add-on type of application that will automatically like dump numbers over into an Excel document through the cloud, through whatever. If numbers are constantly changing, prices are constantly changing, but you use formulas to set up your own worksheets, it will automatically recalculate things so that you always have the most accurate, up-to-date information. Okay, we're going to take a break for now. This was our formulas assignment. Please save this one as Form X, EX. So FORMEX. Save as Form X, add to the assignment in Teams, and click Turn In. Good job, guys. Way to go, formulas. See you later.